To create impact, we have to overcome the distractions we face, manage our responsibilities that we have. And then, of course, there's our own blocks, whether they be mental health or emotional blocks that can all impede our impact. So today I have for you some experts who are ready to share their unique approach and expertise about how to create and produce your life of impact. So get ready to be inspired to create the impact you are meant to have. Let's say hi to our experts. Hi, Sweet.
Hi, how are you? I am Sweet Franchon. I am a performing arts curator. I'm a poet, orator, and also a love advocate speaker. I can be reached at sweet, SUITE, FRANCHON.com, and I hail from Wilmington, Delaware.
Welcome from the East Coast. And hi, Kashawn.
Hello, Laura. Thank you for having me. My name is Kashawn Parker. I am a speaker and business coach, and I am from Plainfield, Illinois. I can be reached at nextstepforwardcoach.com.
Great to have you, Kashawn. And hi, Piri.
Hi, Laura. Hi, everybody. I'm Perry Jones Grossman, and you can reach me at perryjonesgrossman.com. I'm a transformational life coach and a speaker, and I just moved to San Francisco, California.
Oh, great. Nice. We have the East Coast, West Coast, and also Central. And Pam, hi.
Hi, I'm Pam Weiser. I am in Colorado, so you have the center of the country. I am a business operations manager, and you can reach me at bethewiser.net. That's BETHEWISER.net. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we're so glad to have all of you here. And as I said, today's topic is all about creating and producing your life of impact. And I know all of you can contribute some wise advice to that. And so I wanted to start with Sweet. Tell us about what you recommend people do to create and produce their life of impact.
Continue to use your imagination in every way, in everything. Just be creative. And when you do that, you're in alignment with the great source.
I love that. When you say be creative, though, I would imagine a lot of people get like deer in headlights. Do you have any advice for like how people can get over that?
Yes, relax. Use some tools. Tap back into your childhood. Color, jump rope, play a game, sit and laugh, do something that makes you laugh and feel silly again. Tap into that inner child. And then I think those are just some tools that you can use to help spark your creativity and imagination.
Oh my gosh, you make it sound so easy. That's fabulous. And it sounds like fun and there's no pressure because when we were kids, we just did what we wanted to do to have fun. And you're saying, if I'm not mistaken, that that's the creative process.
That is, it can spark your creative process and help you tap into something within that you have never tapped in or you're just not using in your day-to-day life. And it really helps bring you some I call it inner love. You begin to love more about yourself and not be so hard on yourself as well.
I love that. So as we tap into our inner love and we find our creative spark, Kashawn, I wanted to go to you. What advice do you have for our viewers on how they can create and produce a life of impact?
So the advice that I have would just be to understand that, internally, we are mindset, how we think, skill set, the skills that we acquire, impact, how we reach the world, and then influence is how others view us. So the more you develop from the inside out, the more you get to cultivate yourself and nurture your environment, and then you draw others to you into your world, and you develop that core essential piece of you so that you attract the right audience, that fits and suits your well-being and who you are.
You mentioned we are our mindset. Is there a mindset tool that you have that you recommend people use?
Yes. So the mindset tool that I have is just through authenticity, right? Understanding how you think and why you think that way, and then developing a comfort zone in that, and understanding that you develop based on how you think. So if you have a mindset that is, say, growth centered, and you're always looking to improve and to grow, you're going to cultivate an environment of such. So how do you do that? You always open yourself up to learn, to engage, to develop. And that's a continuous ongoing process. It just never ends.
I think that's brilliant because we have, we think of mindset, oh, you got to be positive. Oh, you got to do this. No, it's simply open to learning, be open to learning. And you're ahead of the game. You're in the game that way, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And just understanding that it is ongoing, it's continuous improvement. It's the idea that you're never too old to learn, you're never too young to learn, and really leaning in and embracing that standpoint.
Yeah. So with Sweet's advice and your advice, we open ourselves up to being playful and creative. And then we say, okay, well, now I want to learn something and I want to take my skills and figure out what the impact is. And would you say that's a good question for people to ask themselves to make their greatest impact?
Absolutely. I think it's about understanding, in terms of impact, it's like, how do you want to reach the world? How do you want the world to see you? How do you want your world to engage around you? And once you, develop your mindset, you impart and develop your skill set, everything else in your center of influence, it just kind of joins in tandem to celebrate and to incorporate that growth process for you.
Yeah. So we have a growth process now that both of you have given us some very nice ways to get into that growth process. So Puri, I wanted to move over to you. And I know you talk about reinventing your life because you've done that. So how can our viewers, what tips do you have for our viewers to reinvent their life for greater impact?
Absolutely. Thank you. I always start with the first step, and that is to welcome all of your challenges, because that is the biggest obstacle that changes and gets in the way for us to want to reinvent our lives. As we get these great ideas and dreams, and then we stop ourselves because we talk ourselves out of it. So whenever you're having challenges, I say celebrate them, because that means transformation is coming, and really the best is yet to come. Reinvention can be, all kinds of things, from personal reinvention to career, to just taking an honest look at who you are, who do you want to become, your vision. We get into the obstacles and, of course, your action steps.
Beautiful. Yes, we have to create and welcome those challenges. And oh my gosh, anything's possible, especially when you're doing what Sweet and Kashan say, and then they're taking the next steps. Terrific. Is there any one step, once people are willing to embrace their challenges, what you'd recommend they do?
Yes. You know what? The very first one is, I was talking about taking an honest inventory. First question in the 5-step process is, who are you really? And I have people, list them up, just put it at the top of a page, just a line down the center and say, who am I now? Right? And be honest with yourself. And then the second one is, who do I want to become? Who do I want to be? And look at the gap between those two. And that gap will tell you what you need to focus on to grow, right? And to become that person. And the obstacles, because I call them the mental gremlins. They start coming in and they start chatting and, yelling at us. You're not good enough. Who are you to think you can do that? We hear it from family members. We hear it from, some of our closest friends. And that immediately stops us. We get into that belief system that we're not good enough. We don't deserve it, any of that. So give that time. Let it chat all at once. I give it about 2 minutes, and then I forget it. And I say, okay, get back in the car, go outside, whatever you need to do, because now I want the voice, the sage woman, to come in, the one who's not afraid, the wise woman. What can she do with her life? And you'd be surprised at how much that you have within that really needs to be shared with the world.
Yeah, I love all this advice, because when we get into our playful self, as Sweet says, and then we tap into authenticity, as Kashan recommended, you're actually giving us a tool to put that authentic reality on paper, or what we want to create and who we think we are. And then Pam, I'd like to go over to you and say, what advice do you have to add to this, to give to our viewers, that we can create and produce a life of impact?
Yeah, so I teach professionals productivity. And productivity is about working smarter, not harder, and using your time and energy more efficiently. And when you produce more in a shorter period of time, you're adding to your success and profits.
So, this is like perfect because you can do everything that Sweet, Kashawn, and Perry recommended, but if you don't take any action, then nothing's going to happen. You're not going to be able to create that life of impact. So say we've done all this work that our other experts have done. Now, how do we stop procrastinating? What tip do you have to get us more productive?
So time management is a huge part of this, and that could start with something like prioritizing, making to-do lists, time blocking your calendar and actually sticking to the time blocks, saying no to things that you can't take on without compromising the projects that you're already doing. Delegating, that's another thing. So people tend to come to me when they're ready to delegate. They know that they're overwhelmed. Things take much longer than it should. They're doing tasks that they're not doing very well, or they're doing repeatable things and they're not doing them, the right way. So it's time to delegate, and also to set boundaries. It goes back to setting boundaries, just prioritizing, holding yourself accountable, letting yourself say no, and staying organized.
And I'm sure you have a lot of tools for that as well. Is there a favorite one you have for staying organized?
My calendar is really the biggest tool that I use. I put everything into my calendar, personal, professional, everything goes into my calendar.
Yeah, I even put in extra time, I call it buffer time. And this way it makes it easier to say no. When you see something in the calendar already there, that is such a key thing. Say no and keep the priorities front and center on the life you want to have of impact. So you all are wonderful experts who have given us such a valuable roadmap here to creating and producing that life of impact. And really, it really does come down to, okay, knowing yourself, being authentic, allowing yourself to play, being focused on what is the impact you want, and then getting organized around your priorities. And wow, is that not a roadmap? Isn't that what you also said?
Yes,
A brilliant team here. And so I want to know a little bit more about each of you. And so, Sweet, could you tell us a little bit more, tell us who you work with and what do you do with them?
Well, mostly I work with corporations, universities, even private clients, to I take a theme or whatever message it is that they want, and we package that in a playful, interactive way using poetry, music, song to deliver that message and to really get people to feel the energy of it, not just to have someone speaking at them and talking to them, but literally to be engaged in a physical, active way. Okay. And again, it gets people, especially when you're dealing with corporations, it gets people out of this, I'm going to sit here and listen and be a good employee today. It helps them tap in. It just gives them an idea that you can still be creative in the workspace, and how important this feeling of creativity and imagination is. So typically at the end of every engagement, we literally compose a song with some poetry together, as with those messages. Say if, our keywords today are, peace, love, and poetry, right? Or you can be anything, Black History Month or whatever. We take some keywords that we gathered through the knowledge base, the knowledge and the fact-based information, and then we put on a song, some music, and we have people not even know that they can create and compose a poem or song right there on the spot. And it helps them engage. It helps them to tap into creativity that they may have not tapped in a long time. And it also still delivers the message that the corporation or organization is trying to deliver. But what I like most about it, and it makes it memorable, because people, as Maya Angelou would say, they might not remember what you say, but they're going to remember how you made them feel.
So do you have a story about how you did that for a corporation or organization?
Yes. I had a private corporation in which they said, well, look, we're having this conference for a small division. And, they're all, they were IT professionals, so they're used to being at the computer. And we really want them, the message of the goals and values of the corporation to be resonated throughout this conference. So it was a virtual conference. So I was tapping into each speaker and pulling out key messages through the organization. And at the end, I composed a poem, but I also took 3 words and I had the audience, the virtual audience, participate too. So I would say a verse of the poem, and then I would say, we're going to sing a little hook. We're going to create a hook. And together we use our talents as a collective. We created a little hook, and then we were all engaged, and they were all over the world. There were, it's a huge company. So we had people internationally from every part of the world. And it was just really good to, they say music and things are commonplace. All of us can relate to that. And we got to compose together and really hone into the message of the values of that organization. And then they had something also to record and to use over and over. So again, the presentation is more about us sharing collectively, composing, and having some fun with it so we can have something to tap into later, again, over and over when things get a little stagnant as well.
What a great idea to not only have this wonderful experience, but to also have a takeaway that can be revisited over and over again.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for the great work you're doing. So
Thank
Kashan,
you.
I wanted to go over to you. Tell us about who do you work with and what do you do for them?
Yeah, so I work with women in business, and I'm passionate about teaching women just how to leverage their circles of influence and how to show up authentically to themselves and in the environments that they serve in.
Wonderful. And how did you come to this work?
So I love that question. And I came to this line of work because I got to be my own student. I had reached a point where my accolades did not sustain me. I had gotten the degrees, I had done all the things. I had, based on skill set, I had gone extremely far. And then I was essentially stripped of everything that I thought I was, everything that I thought I was becoming, and realized that I needed some work to be done in personal and professional development. And so as I began to do the work, as I began to essentially change my circles of influence, I thought, this is powerful work. This is powerful because as I'm developing who I am, I'm leading and teaching others to also do the same. And by being my own student, I'm able to foresee the stumbling blocks and kind of outline and surface those unapologetically and really transparently to say, it's okay to go through these things. I'm more so speaking from the experience with you, not above you. And so when I reach my groups, I am partnering with them to go through the trenches, to do the work, to really lean in and develop who they want to become. And it's just as important to myself as it is those that I serve, which makes the work extremely meaningful.
And effective, I would imagine too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the great work you're doing with people and going deep with them. And speaking of going deep, Perry, tell us about the work you do. Who do you work with and what do you do?
Yes, I love what she was saying, that she's a student and a product of our own challenges and things that we overcame, because that really is how a lot of us get here. Is we get so excited about the changes and the transformations that we made on our own lives. We learn tools, so we want to go out and share them, and that's where we get that calling, that fire in the belly. I work primarily with women in midlife, over 40. And it's women that are ready to reinvent their lives in any area. So it doesn't have to be just from career. It can also be something simple as they want to find love in their life and they're in their 60s and they think they're too old to do it. Or they maybe have a book inside of them, but possibly they're working at a job that they don't really like, but they've got this great story to tell. So I love working with women who are ready to spread their wings and really make some conscious choices to make the planet a little bit better place too.
That's great. And do you have a story you can share with us as well about how you got to this work, or you had a client you helped with this work?
Oh my God, I have so many. I love the women that I work with. I really been working with mental health recently. I was raised by a schizophrenic mother who was, emotionally very, very toxic. I didn't know how to love myself. I would be a chameleon. I didn't really know who I was in the least. I went into television business and I became the anchor, the host, but it wasn't who I was. Nobody saw the painful girl inside. So what I learned is how to truly love myself and what that looked like. And that meant not looking outside for other people's approval, but really inside me. And then embracing who I was without judgment and really focusing on the growth and the transformation and not hiding all of the challenges that I went through in my life, but, bringing them forward. So many women who have gone through, a lot of issues with depression and so forth, I've been there. I understand it. I learned tools to help with that. I'm also, getting rid of a lot of secrets. I help women do that because secrets hold us back. I held the secret that I'm a suicide survivor. Nobody knew that until just about 4 years ago. And what I learned is that what we think is our liabilities is really the things that make people come to your vulnerability. That's your strength. So sometimes pain equals purpose. And that's what I love to remind women. Don't be afraid or think, oh my gosh, someone's going to find this out. My secret's out, No, that's the magic, in it that we're pretty much the same. We're not really that different on the inside.
Yeah, there's a lot of power in revealing that truth. So thank you for revealing yours and giving permission to others to do that.
Yes.
And now, Pam, I'd like to come to you and find out, who do you work with and what do you do with them?
So I work with CEOs, entrepreneurs, service and solutions-based startups, business leaders, and I help the overworked and overwhelmed, people who think that they can do everything themselves and then realize that they can't. And so I basically help them scale their business, manage projects, open up time in their schedules, lower their stress, and help them become more efficient so that they can get back to focusing on what's most important, and that's building their business.
Awesome. Do you have an example, a story, how you help someone do that?
It's mostly every single kickoff call when I hear this sigh of relief because, Pam is here to save the day. And that's really what keeps me going, knowing that I've given these people back their time and their work-life balance, and it just feels amazing.
Is there any particular one that you wanted to point to?
I hear that from everybody. I'm so glad that you can help me. I've known that I've needed help, but I didn't know when the right time was or what I needed help with. Perfect. And so I hear it consistently. It's not any particular client.
You're in the right niche then, because you've definitely got a specialty there. Well, thank you for helping people get organized so they can make and create and produce their life of impact. And I know all of you are doing that. And that's the kind of women we have here at Women Speakers Association, women who help people create impact or are making a great impact. So I wanted to hear from each of you real quick. What is the takeaway from being a part of Women Speakers Association? What are you gaining? What value is that to you, Sweet?
Well, first of all, thank you. Women Speakers Bureau is the organization I didn't know I needed in my life. It's really helped me organize my message, use the tools, and the information is invaluable to me because I've been a speaker. I've been doing it quite some time, but I'm also an entertainer. So I was really struggling with, I really am more of a speaker now than an entertainer. It's entertaining, but it's not an entertainment production. How do I do that? By taking advantage of the courses, the videos, sometimes just reading other people's bios. It's really helped me to develop my message more clearer. And it's really helping me transition to, as Period say, to where I want to be. and the woman I'm becoming, and it's constant evolution, as Kashawn spoke of. And so with that, just speaking of them, just the networking and knowing that there's other women doing the same thing as well.
I love that. And great. So Kashawn, speaking of you, tell us what you love about Women Speakers Association.
Yeah, so I love Women Speakers Association. I mean, it's just filled with lots of like-minded women that are, they are phenomenal in the work that they do. And I love when I get to engage in a lot of the calls and things like that, and collect, ideas and ways to grow my business as a speaker. And then I love connection calls like this one, where I get to come on and I'm in a room full of amazing women that are doing phenomenal things in the world. So it's just an all-around win-win.
I can't agree more. That's awesome. And Puri, how about you? What are your takeaways?
The value that I'm receiving from the Women's Speaker Association is exactly this. It's just the networking and the connecting with amazing women. I've learned so much already just in this segment from the women that I value that we're talking with today. And I also love the visibility, the opportunity it gives me to, come out there and to challenge myself and to grow and to be better at what I'm doing. And like I said before, the networking, the connection. I think women, particularly right now, are really craving that interactiveness and the collaboration of other women. And what a great way to experience that through this program.
I totally agree with you. The connection, the collaboration, the resources. And Pam, what are you taking? What do you love about Women Speakers Association?
Everything that these women have said. And the one of my goals this year was to get more visibility. And so joining this organization was a chance for me to have resources, connect with amazing women, networking again. And I was also told that when somebody hands you a mic, you always say yes. So here we are.
I love it. So you were handed the mic, you took advantage of it, and here we are. And I'd like to virtually hand the mic to you, our viewer. If you're a woman and you have a message, you want to create a greater impact, check us out. Go to joinwsa.com, or you can put your toe in the water. Download our Speaker Success Plan at speakersuccessplan.com. You'll be put on our mailing list. We have a weekly calendar of events that you can attend, from networking to trainings, or join us, and you can get more visibility, as sweet Kashawn, Pam, and Puri have done today. So ladies, it's been just a delight. You all are magnificent, amazing, like each of you have said, amazing women. And thank you for your wisdom and sharing it so generously with us.
Thank you so much.
So much.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace and love.
Bye.
Bye.
I'm Laura Rubenstein, your host and producer. We'll see you next time.